Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
Today's environment scientists are in no doubt that the world's resources of fertile soil are rapidly deteriorating, and that new land for agriculture is becoming ever more sparse. Intensive farming, urbanization, desertification, and sea level rises are all putting growing pressure on the planet's agricultural land, and therefore on food supplies. Currently 24% of the world's 11.5 billion hectares of cultivated land has already undergone human-induced soil degradation, particularly through erosion, according to a recent study by the UK government.
The same rule applies in business. The mistake that gave US cornflakes keeps repeating itself in the history of disruptive innovation, the kind that transforms markets. Louis Daguerre, for instance, discovered the technique that gave US photography in the 1830s. When drops of mercury from a shattered thermometer produced a photographic image, the microwave was discovered when Purry Spender, a scientist with Raytheon, was testing a new vacuum tube and discovered that the sweet in his pocket had melted. The artificial sweetener, saccharin, was the unintentional result of a medical scientist's work on a chemical treatment for gastric ulcers. While working for the firm 3M, researcher Art Fry had no idea he was taking the first steps towards post-it notes when he used bits of adhesive office paper that could be easily lifted off the page to replace the scrap paper bookmarks that kept falling out of his hymn book. In 1894, Dr. John Kellogg and his brother, Will, were supervising a hospital and health spa in Michigan. The patients were on a restricted diet. One day, the brothers left cooked wheat untended for more than 24 hours. When they returned, they saw what they had done. It was no good to eat, but they decided to run the stale wheat through rollers just to see how it would turn out. Normally, the process produced long sheets, but they were surprised to discover that this time the rollers created flat flakes. They baked them, and then tried the same thing with corn. From this accidental discovery came the cornflakes that generations have now been eating for breakfast.
Biogeographers can learn clues about continental drift by comparing related species. However, they must also recognize cases where species have spread for other reasons, such as by crossing great stretches of water. The island of Hawaii, for example, was home to a giant flightless goose that has become extinct. Studies on DNA extracted from its bones show that it evolved from the Canada goose. Having colonized Hawaii, it branched off from that species, losing its ability to fly. This evolution occurred 500,000 years ago, when geologists estimate that Hawaii emerged from the Pacific. Few people have heard of the mite harvestman, and fewer still would recognize it at close range. The insect is a relative of the far more familiar daddy longlegs. But its legs are stubby rather than long, and its body is only as big as a sesame seed. To find mite harvestmen, scientists go to dark, humid forests and sift through the leaf litter. The animals respond by turning motionless, making them impossible for even a trained eye to pick out. They look like grains of dirt, said Gonzalo Giribet, an invertebrate biologist at Harvard University.
Hypothetical case study. TF became a retail success in the 1970s when it succeeded in spotting homeware trends and meeting the needs of its then trendy young customers. However, by 2004, the IF stores were failing and a rethink was clearly necessary. Tybal Fisher, TF's founder and CEO, decided to change its focus under the new brand name of TV's next stage. His aim was to recapture the now aging customers that had given him his early success and target consumers aged 60 plus with devices and gadgets specifically designed to assist them with the problems associated with aging, mobile phones with screens that were easy to read, kitchen gadgets with comfortable grips, electronic devices that were easy to set and adjust. TF's market research proved to be very positive, showing strong consumer support for the products. The beginning of the story of pencils started with lightning. Graphite, the main material for producing a pencil, was discovered in 1564 in Borrowdale in England when lightning struck a local tree during a thunder. Local people found out that the black substance, spotted at the root of the unlucky tree, was different from burning ash of wood. It was soft, thus left marks everywhere. The chemistry was barely out of its infancy at the time, so people mistook it for lead, equally black but much heavier. It was soon put to use by locals in marking their sheep for signs of ownership and calculation, capital English zone.
The concept of tourism evolved in Rome 2,000 years ago. The wealthy Roman class occupied their leisure vacations in traveling and exploring new remote places. Within a short period of time, the popularity of travel started building. However, socio-economic turbulence and military activities occurring at that time led to a rapid decline. The years before the Industrial Revolution, and even before that period, were replete with regressive events such as social upheavals and economic strife that leave a string of roadblocks for a long time.
While there had been a long tradition of giving rings as a commitment to marry, the custom of giving diamond engagement rings was in large part manufactured by one of the most effective marketing campaigns in history. In the early 1900s, diamond sales were declining, posing a serious problem for the company that essentially had control over the diamond market. In 1938, this company hired an advertising agency, which proposed reshaping social attitudes toward diamonds, as well as magazines showing film stars draped in diamonds. The agency arranged for movies to incorporate diamond engagement rings into their plots. The campaign culminated with the slogan,
Parrots are found across the tropic and in all southern hemisphere continents except Antarctica, but nowhere do they display such a richness of diversity and form as in Australia. 1/6 of the world's 345 parrot species are found there, and Australia has long been renowned for the number and variety of its parrots. In the 16th century, the German cartographer Mercator made a world map that included a place, somewhere near present-day Australia, that he named Terra Psittacorum, the land of parrots, and the first European settlers in Australia often referred to the country as Parrot Land. In 1865, the celebrated British naturalist and wildlife artist John Gould said, "No group of birds gives Australia so tropical and benign an air as the numerous species of this great family by which it is tenanted."